Welcome to the final game of Bad Game Summer 2025. I don't know whether I saved the best or the worst for last, but I did play one that's particularly awful. Now, I know I said that this is the last one, but before you get disappointed, I do have some fun announcements that you'll want to stick around to the end of the video for. Today's game is Bebe's Kids, a miserable excuse for a brawler based off the 1992 Robin Harris movie of the same name. Apparently the movie had a budget of $10 million and made a whopping $8 million, which means it still came closer to breaking even than the Marvels did in 2023. So it should be no surprise to anybody that to be paired with a movie that bombed, the movie tie-in game was also as beautiful from the player haters ball would say.
100% rat ass! Hit me, baby.
The game actually came out in 1994, 2 years after the movie bombed. Why would someone do this? It's like someone saw Krull 5 years after it was released and was like, hey, let's make a game of that. Which they did, but it was released much closer to the movie release. If you haven't seen the movie, it stars comedian Robin Harris, who meets this woman named Jamaica, and the day he spends at a totally not Disney World-like amusement park called Funland with her son Leon, and her less than attentive friend Bebe's kids named LaShawn, Khalil, and baby Pee-wee. Not the good Pee-wee, either. They're all your typical poorly behaved kids who get into mischief. You get the picture. I remember liking this movie years ago, though I haven't actually seen it since, and that was a really long time ago, and I don't actually know how it's aged. The game just has you playing as either LaShawn or Khalil, and it has no plot. You just go from level to level hitting enemies, and that's it. The animation in this is clearly Pixar quality, as you can see by the slow frame rate and overall lack of movement each character has when they do anything. Throughout the whole game, I felt like my character was moving through Jell-O. The very repetitive, cool rap soundtrack did not help with my enjoyment of this either, but it did succeed in making me feel like I was in a mall parking lot on a Saturday night, so I guess there's that. Back in 1994 when this released, in a sea of great games, you'd have to really love that movie in order to be even remotely interested in this, because I think everything that could have gone wrong with this game did. I can't just cherry pick a few things to make fun of, so just as I've done in the past, I'm dragging you to gaming hell with me and we're going to go on a walkthrough of every level. If you'd like to say goodbye to your family and friends now, then I suggest you do so. But otherwise, without further ado,
Let's get busy!
Level 1 has you in what I'm going to call the main street of Fun World. You're going to become really familiar with it if you're ever unfortunate enough to play through this crap. You know why? Because you come back to this area every other level to play it again. That's right, to pad a game that's basically just got 5 levels, counting this one, they make you come back to this one no less than 4 times, with very minor changes every time you revisit it. So you'll come through and beat up these trashy ass looking mouse mascot guys, and you'll fight security guards in suits who look, let's be honest, sort of Clinton-y or Epstein-y. I can't make up my mind. Also, why are these guys smiling when they grab a child? I did my whole playthrough as Khalil. It doesn't really matter who you pick though, because they play the same way, and there are no advantages to either one, because f*** this game. Your arsenal of attacks includes a punch, a kick, a heavy punch, and a jumping spin kick, because why not? Maybe they teach Taekwondo on the streets. Your basic attacks are almost totally useless except in a couple instances, so you might as well just forget about using those at all and stick to using your powerful uppercut that somehow knocks out grown men in just 2 to 3 hits each. Apparently enough to make them lose their hair pieces. The second level is sort of like a boss level, but there's nothing to fight except the unresponsive controls. You'll chase Robin and Pee-wee around as he knocks over glassware. You'd think that your goal here is to help Robin catch the glasses that fall, but you'd be wrong. No, for whatever nonsensical reason, your job is to destroy the glasses before they hit the floor. You start out with 10 glasses toward the top of the screen, and with each one you kick, the number drops and you'll beat the level when it hits 0. With every glass that hits the floor, or that Robin catches, that number goes back up. You have to do this before the timer runs out, which took me several attempts and much screaming. I hated this so much. Like, why can't you just let the damn glasses hit the ground if you're supposed to break them anyway? It seems like Pee-wee's doing the work for you in that case. Also, you're supposed to break these things, but the window to time your attack and hit the glass is so narrow that the only move that seems to work is the kick. I don't think I had one punch land and break these things. Also, if you get hit by the glass, then it'll damage your health, which carries over into each level and doesn't reset. So have fun with that. So what's next? Why, a repeat of level 1 like I had mentioned earlier. Dogs show up this time and you can beat them up because apparently these kids' baby daddy is Michael Vick, and you'll get candy thrown at you by women who look like they drive school buses. If you'd like, you can safely skip fighting the dogs to make it all the way to the entrance of the next level. They're so fast that you're going to have a hard time actually hitting them anyway, and they'll wear out your health more than anything else. After you're done beating up character mascots in more suits, it's on to the next level, which is a maze. Has anybody ever in the history of gaming enjoyed these levels where you have to go through a sequence of doors to get to the end? They're as awful as escort quests. So this one requires extra trial and error, and your goal is not to figure out the right order of the doors nearly as much as you're supposed to follow that tiny thermometer at the top of the screen. It changes color to indicate if you're getting warmer or colder. This made me so angry because there is no set sequence to get through here. I know this because if you enter some of the doors, realizing you made a mistake and you go back the way you came, assuming it even lets you, it may put you in a totally different room. This is especially true with the bookshelves, which I found would put me in a different room depending on the side that I entered through, which makes no sense to me. In the meantime, you're being harassed by these bats, and mummies are chasing you, and paintings are shooting things at you. This is the worst theme park ever. You know what? Maybe I take that back. Next up is, surprise, surprise, Main Street again. If you're expecting anything different, then you're going to be disappointed. Now, I hope you all have a bottle of rum and a peg leg with you because next we have a pirate ship. In a major gameplay twist, you're going to move to the right while doing a heavy attack on some pirates whose pants will fall down before you knock them out. You'll also get harassed by parrots, whom I was able to punch in the face and likely kill in order to get them to leave me alone.
Pretty bird. Yes, pretty bird.
There are lots of health items for you to pick up to help you stay alive in this, but because the game's controls are awful, you can't jump to them from anywhere but directly under the item. Like if you're pushing the D-pad in any direction but directly up as you're jumping, you will not be allowed up there. I cannot stress how miserable the controls are in this game. The pirate ship actually has a boss this time around, and for once, your tiny little hands won't be able to hurt him, so instead you have to jump kick him to be able to do any damage. In the meantime, he'll shoot cannonballs at you, try to hit you, and be an all-around pain in the ass. But with a little luck, you'll bring him down to go to the final Main Street section of the game. If you can see the screen from all the bleeding your eyes are likely doing at this point, you'll end up in this underground area where the evil robots are at after you clear that last Main Street. This is another one where your jumping has to be precise to be able to go anywhere. Don't be afraid of the green goo on the floor, though. Unlike Bubsy 3D, another terrible game I reviewed this summer, this stuff won't actually hurt you and is just there for decoration. You'll jump into some holes, and then you'll jump out of some holes. And after you've gone in and out of holes enough times and finished, you'll end up at the last boss, the head evil robot guy. He's kind of like the T-800, but retarded and not threatening, and you'll defeat him just like you did the pirate boss. When he takes enough hits, his head flies off and starts attacking you, and then you hit him a few more times and you've beaten the game. You'll get an ending that's completely unsatisfying, roll credits, and back to the title screen. If you rented Bebe's Kids in the early 90s, you might have been young enough to talk yourself into thinking that this was an okay game. And that's alright, because maybe this was the only game available because the recently released Zelda, A Link to the Past, and Mega Man X weren't rented out, and it was either this or Goof Troop. I hate to tell you, but you should have gone with Goof Troop. Or you should have just saved your money, because this game is one of the worst brawlers ever made. It has no redeemable qualities and is every bit the definition of terrible movie tie-in game, and it even failed at that since it came out almost 2 years after the movie did. Everything about this is wrong with this game. And with that said, we conclude Bad Game Summer, but my awesome audience has spoken loud and clear in my last poll, and I'm going to continue doing Bad Game reviews, and Bad Game Summer itself is going to be even more special next summer than it was this year. Like, I've already got it planned out, I've got the games picked out, and we've got some really famous ones in there that I think are going to be fun for you to watch. Not for me, because I have to play them, but for you, it should be a lot of fun. I've got more content planned out in between Bad Game reviews as well, so if you haven't subscribed already, this is your sign to hit that button and give this a thumbs up. I want to thank you all so much for your support over the summer, and I really look forward to doing this again very, very soon.